Welcome to Businessline's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Hello and welcome to Businessline's State of Economy podcast with the theme of marketing. I'm Chitra Narayanan, Editorial Consultant with Businessline, and hosting the show today. It's that time of the year when women are celebrated, felicitated, and pampered. Yes, it's International Women's Day, and brands are putting out campaigns galore paying tributes to women consumers whose voices otherwise remain muted or invisible. But while Women's Day gets a lot of noise and visibility, marketers have also taken to celebrating other days in big ways, be it Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Doctor's Day, Earth Day, Chocolate Day, and so on. So to discuss the topic of day marketing, we have with us noted management thinker Shiv Shivakumar, operating partner at Advent International, who always has interesting takes on issues. Joining us is also Jermina Menon, founder of Knowetic and a seasoned retail marketing professional who has expertise in both offline and online retail. Let's hear from them. Hi Shiv and Jermina, welcome to the show.
Morning, Chitra. Wonderful to be here along with Jermina.
Thank you, Chitra, for calling me here and giving me the august company of Shiv too. It's really an honor.
Yeah, great. So let's dive in. Every International Women's Day, brands, big and small, fall over themselves to pay tribute to the spirit of women. And this year too, the noise has begun very early, just come March and the noise had begun. But it's really the rare campaign that manages to please the community they're addressing. Last year, I remember there was a luminous ad, which was fantastic. But by far, most of these ads are just paying lip service. So if brands cannot come up with anything worthwhile, should they desist from, just paying lip service? Or what should they do? Shiv, perhaps you could go first.
Okay, thank you, Chitra. So if I step back and look at the big picture, Chitra, so we have culturally or community and culture, we have many religious days. You have Pehla Baisakh, this, that, etc. Lots of Pongal. All of them have a certain cultural meaning in the context of that country. And almost every country has it. And culture and religion have actually given us all these days over many, many years. And these are occasions to share, a celebration, share experiences, and build the community. This is where I think the origin of a day started. But if you look at the modern marketing and consumer culture, almost all of it is led by brands. And brands try and create a consumer culture day with their take on that particular day. So that's what I see right now happening across the country, across the world for almost, and I think India is a bit more. I think China is also there, but I think India tends to overdo it.
Okay, on Women's Day specifically, because Women's Day is not really a brand created day, it's a UN created day. So on that?
No, I would slightly differ on that, Chitra, because if you actually look at Women's Day, and almost every day, if it goes well, has a history to it. If you look at Women's Day, it was actually against suffrage. Women started protesting against being slaves, about being treated as second-class citizens in a society. And there used to be big posters in Germany in 1910, and America also had it. And so this was an expression by women for women to say, we rebel against what men are doing. In 1975, the United Nations adopted it. And 1977 was the first Women's Day. And in India, 1996 was when Ponds actually celebrated Women's Day. So about 28 years ago. And that's when everybody woke up and said, wow, there's a Women's Day. Ponds did a wonderful job of it at that point of time. But I think over a period of time, every brand, every builder, every pesticide guy, every multinational company, every Indian conglomerate, everybody wants to celebrate women by saying something meaningless. And that's what we've got to today.
Oh, that's a very interesting bit of history, Shiv. I didn't know that Pons was the originator in India. So interesting. Jarmina, as a woman marketer, your take on Women's Day, and especially in the retail world, we suddenly see lots of discounts and offers targeted at women consumers around this time. Do these really work?
I think the first aspect as a woman, I think it's important for Women's Day to be celebrated because the reality is, Chitra, that women like you and me are still few and far in between, especially in a country like India. There is a huge labor force, there is a huge set of women at home. And we know about the, leaky pipeline of women in workforce, how even 100% of the women who graduate do not actually take up a job. So the first leak actually begins over there. So in that context, I think it's very important to celebrate. How we celebrate is very different. In retail, of course, we are always looking at opportunities to, kind of celebrate days, do moment marketing. And this fits in very well because women are largely the shoppers, whether it is buying for their house or even making decisions for the other members of the house. Of course, it's reducing of late, but the point is that they are still making more than 50% of the buying decisions. So it makes automatic sense that anytime there is anything which is related to women, the retail bandwagon has to kind of take it up. So to me, I think it's a no-brainer. The point is that Women's Day is still not a big buying day. In India, it is still Diwali, followed by Christmas and New Year. And then there is Raksha Bandhan and Valentine's Day, which are actually neck to neck. And the only reason Raksha Bandhan isn't bigger is it's largely concentrated in non-South India. And Valentine's Day is kind of become like a national occasion in that sense. But, it's still not happening in terms of shopping. But what is happening is definitely at a corporate level, the DNI initiatives.
Okay, so since we are a marketing podcast, I mean, if these day marketing initiatives are not resulting in sales, is day marketing really a lazy approach? I mean, will a customer really mind, or should marketers look at other kind of initiatives?
So I'm not saying that they don't result in sales. So what I was trying to say, Chitra, was that Women's Day is still not become a big sale day in terms of actual, sales happening. Because the other four festivals I spoke of, they have a much, much higher offtake happening and much more occasion based because they are also gifting based festivals versus Women's Day is not really a gifting based festival. What it really also does is just kind of helps women brands reach out more to women and convince them to shop. But yeah, it's still not become a big purchase day. It's become a day to celebrate. It's become a day, I would think, to connect with your women customers better. So things like community events or inviting them to celebrate themselves, have a good time at either your restaurant or your, store is a better way of going about it than actually focusing on sales for Women's Day.
And if, as a retail marketing specialist, you had to give tips on what a brand should do if there was an imperative to celebrate a day, what should it do? And first of all, is there a brand fit? Should they look at that?
Definitely, the brand fit is the first thing, which is where you will find brands which are targeting women, and that would largely be in the apparel, fashion, accessories, makeup, beauty happening. If people really want to kind of make it different and not stereotype it, I would even urge things like, electronics to look at it. Because electronics category doesn't necessarily target women, but there's no reason because in terms of home appliances, they are doing it. I remember years ago, it was probably 15 years back, I had bought my Hyundai Santro. It coincidentally was in March and there was a women's special offer. So I actually ended up getting a lot of freebies in terms of accessories, etc., which felt good because otherwise I was planning to buy some of them. So it helped me save money. So I think that was a very well-placed offer. I mean, coincidentally, I was a woman buying in March, but the point is it felt good when I got those freebies. Categories should go beyond the typical women categories is my submission, and there is an opportunity to do that. And having said that, it's not necessarily a single day thing. It can actually be 365-day thing.
Okay, so any Women's Day initiative that there's also this criticism that it's like just restricted to a day and there's no follow through the entire year. If you can kind of lead us through any brands that have actually, Dove does do homage through the year, but that's again brand aimed targeted at a woman consumer. So any brand that you can think of?
I think one of the brands which does it continuously comes from the fact that obviously it's a woman-centric brand is Tanishq. So, if you remember years ago, they had done this ad where a dark-skinned woman is getting married for the second time. And that wasn't a Women's Day campaign. It was just a generic, in fact, it was their festive season campaign. And that's the point I'm making, that you don't have to make a Women's Day oriented campaign to tell women that they can do what they want, and they don't have to stick to stereotypes or the biases and conditioning which the world expects of them. So I think
Okay.
Tanishq has done a fantastic job all through the year, most of the times.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also it'll break through the clutter if it's done on a day other than the specified day. Shiv, a question I wanted to ask is day marketing a lazy approach? I mean, if a brand really has to do day marketing, what tips would you give?
So I don't think it's a lazy approach as much as it's a reflection of the times we live in, Chitra. Because today, thanks to social media, I think there's a huge amount of fear of losing out, fear of missing out amongst almost all brands, all agencies, all creative people, all brand managers. So now, in the past, most of us would say that advertising must have some impact on the business in terms of sales or whatever it is, and top of mind measures and brand affinity, all that stuff. Today, I think a lot of that we've taken leave of. We just want to go put something out there because somebody else is doing it. I don't think anybody measures the true metrics of what's happening out there with a brand, and are any of the brand measures moving up. Next, going back to what Jermina said, there's a huge pressure on retail and this execution team to actually activate this idea. And hence everybody gets into a lot of frenzied activity and starts doing gondola, starts doing this, that, etc. I'm not sure that all of this truly works. So in my book, I think they have a thought. They have a thought. I don't think they have a brand thought. I don't think they have a sales thought. So that's the way I would put it for you.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when Jermina said that it doesn't really translate into shopping. I mean, then why are you doing it at all? One assume that these days would lead to enhanced shopping or.
That's basically because I think marketeers are saying that I want to build an outside layer, okay, which resonates with the consumer on something which we believe resonates with the consumer. The consumer has 1001 things. You don't wake up today to say, hey, today is Women's Day. No, I think most people wake up to definitely today is my birthday, today is a New Year's Day, etc. But most people don't wake up to this. And I think we've taken it to the extreme because if you look at the list of health issues, we have a doctor's day, we have a cancer day, we have a Movember, we have all kinds of things. So I think maybe we are also overdoing it as people, and I will talk about it in the end when I summarize.
Yeah. So one query is like certain brands have taken ownership of certain days. I mean, the fact that you mentioned Ponds had started it, but we don't now associate Ponds with Women's Day. So they have, renounced their ownership. But at the same time, I see Cadbury's is becoming very firmly associated with Valentine's Day because they have really taken ownership of that day. I mean, and two brands they've taken conflicting approaches. One where they are actually they are like laughing at the mush, and for the other brand they're pushing the love stories. So if you can talk about any brands that come to your mind which have taken ownership of a day.
The one that immediately comes to my mind, honestly, is Saffola and World Heart Day. And I think they have been doing it for almost 15, 20 years. And, given that they had positioned themselves as the heart oil and creating that awareness, they really own the day. So even if today their competitors come there, people still would associate Saffola more with the World Heart Day than any other brand. And no other brand of sugar-free or anything has, for example, similarly copied World Diabetic Day. But World Heart Day to me is Saffola, and they have done it long before moment marketing, day marketing was a buzzword. And they really owned it as a positioning, which fitted in very well and done without offers. That's the brilliant part of it.
Shiv, what about you? Last year, I saw on your LinkedIn feed you had paid. You had really praised the Luminous ad for, but then that
Yes.
was just 1 year. I don't. This year, I haven't really seen what Luminous has done. So, is there like consistent messaging? Have you seen any brand do?
Yeah. In fact, Luminous has done another ad. I just saw it today. It's about a boy saying, "My mother's always, working hard on the rooftop," and the traditional images of the woman doing something to do with grain, something to do with clothes, etc. And then finally, they reveal that his mother is actually a technician who is actually fitting solar panels. So there's a slight different take on it. Yeah. So in that sense, they've been consistent because last year they celebrated the woman technician. Okay, and this year they're building it a little more. Okay, I would say, yeah, I think Safala is a good example, but it actually becomes difficult for any brand to own it. It's easy if it's done by an institution like the United Nations or the government of India or something like that. But for a brand to own it, because almost everybody has a take on that day, and some brands on some year will be more creative than the others. So it's very difficult for a brand to own a day like this, Chitra.
Okay. Okay, so your last thoughts, both of you, Jermina, you want to go with your concluding thoughts on day marketing?
I just think that when brands, especially on occasions like Women's Day, and since we are talking of luminous, are actually talking of empowering women, creating a ecosystem of women electrical supervisors, electricians, etc. They should perhaps continue it through the year, or maybe next year's act should say that in the last 2 years we've added 100,000, 50,000, whatever number of women electrical technicians, because that really shows impact, and that is where people will take them seriously. So it's not just about a single day campaign, but how do you really live it, and can you really continue with the promise? So Luminous has that opportunity. I do hope they capitalize it.
Yeah, I would say, if you look at the number of days, Chitra, we've imported a lot of these days from a Western culture point of view. Okay, and we had many religious days. We have Father's Day on 16th June. We have Daughter's Day on 25th September. We have Mother's Day on 8th May. We have Women's Day on 8th March. Okay, each and every one of them. And I remember one of the princes who belongs to the LGBTQ community saying in one of the meetings that he says, I tell all the companies that I am invited to speak that I'm not LGBTQ only for the month of July when you want to celebrate a Purple Day. I'm there right through the year. How come you're not using me right through the year if you're serious about this message? So I agree with Jermina that things are becoming one-off. And my last comment is, if marketers truly want to understand and celebrate themselves, then 27th May is World Marketing Day, which is the birthday of Philip Kotler. So maybe they should do something for themselves and propagate better marketing.
Lovely. That's a great idea. And I'll come back to you on that day for sure.
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, let's do a session on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jermina and Shiv.
Thank you, Shiv. It's really been an honor.